Guys, it is Dani and welcome to this update video on the tropics. And so in this video we're going to be talking about our potential tropical cyclone 6, which is going to be affecting most of the northern Caribbean as well as head to the United States. And then we have over in the eastern Pacific tropical storm Kevin as well as newly formed tropical depression 12. And so before I go into details, okay, so let us start things with the Pacific, of course. So we have Tropical Storm Kevin and a newly formed depression, Tropical Depression 12E in the basin at this time. So let's look at them individually in terms of the cone forecast. And so Tropical Storm Kevin currently has winds of 45 miles per hour and it is accelerating to the northwest at 8 miles per hour. And as of right now, Kevin is a sheared system, so it is not expected to intensify anymore. It's just going to be slowly weakening, and by Thursday it is expected to be downgraded to a depression, and it should become post-tropical maybe by sometime on Friday and then eventually dissipate. Fortunately, it is going to be out in the open Pacific, not being much of a threat to land. And then in terms of our newly formed depression, so as of right now, the depression has winds of 35 miles per hour and it is accelerating to the west-northwest at 8 miles per hour. And so we expect that it's going to be remaining well off the coast of Mexico, and it is going to be moving mainly a bit to the west-northwest and then eventually to the northwest. And it is expected to become a hurricane by Thursday. So from this point onwards throughout most of the week, we are expecting that it's going to be on a strengthening trend, and it is expected to become a hurricane before we reach the end of this week. Fortunately, it is not going to be moving into anywhere and to cause some significant damage, guys. And so now let's go on over into the Atlantic basin. And so here we have our potential tropical cyclone 6. And so on satellite view here, it doesn't have that defined center of circulation to be classified as a tropical cyclone, even though it has winds of a depression right now. So winds are currently 35 miles per hour and it is accelerating to the west-northwest at 17 miles per hour. So we're seeing here on the cone forecast that we have quite a bit of watches and warnings that are in place. The warnings are highlighted in blue, and as of right now we have a tropical storm warning being in effect for parts of Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Dominican Republic on the south coast from Punta Palenque eastward, and on the north coast of Cabo Frances Viejo eastward. And so guys, we have a tropical storm watch which is highlighted in yellow being in place for Martinique and Guadeloupe, Sab and Saint Eustatius, Dominican Republic on the north coast from Cabo Frances Viejo to the Dominican Republic Haiti border, Haiti from the northern border with the Dominican Republic to Dani'i and the Turks and Caicos Islands, as well as southeastern Bahamas. And so tropical storm warning means that the tropical storm-like conditions, so that gusty wind, the heavy rainfall as well as that surge are possible within about 36 hours. And a tropical storm watch means that tropical storm-like conditions are possible in areas that are in the watch area. And so we're expecting that as our potential tropical cyclone moves over the islands of the Greater Antilles, it is going to be weakened, especially Hispaniola, due to the high terrain and the fact that it won't be getting that fuel to enable it to intensify. So we're expecting it to be downgraded to a depression by Wednesday, and by later today it is expected to become a tropical storm acquiring the name Fred. And so it is expected to regain tropical storm status on Friday when it is moving parallel to Cuba, the northern coast of Cuba being just in the warm ocean waters of the Atlantic. And then we're expecting to start making that curve to the northwest beginning by Saturday. And then Sunday, it is going to be just off the western coast of Florida. So if you're in Florida, you might want to keep an eye on the system for potential landfall as we're going to be heading into the early part of the new week. And this could even potentially make landfall as a hurricane, because as of right now, the maximum sustained winds expected of the system at that point, what that you're seeing at the end of the cone forecast, is 60 miles per hour, and that is not far from category 1 intensity, and gusts could even be at hurricane intensity by that point. So we have to wait and see. Again, guys, it's going to be heading into the Gulf, and once we have all the environmental conditions being conducive, so the ocean temperatures are definitely there already. So once we have that favorable wind shear and there is no Saharan dust really lingering in that region. So we would have perfect ingredients to have even rapid intensification. And let us not underestimate the potential of the system. We've seen storms be probably a Cat 1 in the morning, and by the night they're a major hurricane. So we have to wait and see. This does not have to be the outcome with our potential tropical cyclone, but it is important that if you're in any areas to be affected, you take all the necessary precautions and stay safe. So other areas that can expect to be under watches maybe later today or tomorrow include Cuba and more portions of the Bahamas, as well as potentially Florida. Maybe near the latter part of this week, Florida will be under maybe watches and warnings, guys. So please take necessary precautions and stay safe. The system is not expected to affect Jamaica, and even if it does, maybe just a stray shower or two, nor the Cayman Islands. So those areas are out of that cone of uncertainty. As of right now, the areas that I just listed are those where persons should be making all the necessary preparations for this system. And in terms of the potential maximum intensity expected from our models here, so we have a lot of available models, and so they're expecting it to become a tropical storm, but showing some fluctuation. Again, that is due to the land interaction that our potential tropical cyclone will have with the islands of the Greater Antilles. We have some models expecting that it is going to eventually strengthen into a hurricane during the latter part of this week, when it is going to be merging into the Gulf of Mexico. So in terms of the potential track, we have our models agreeing on a set track of the system making its way across the most northerly portion of the Caribbean, moving over Hispaniola, parallel to the north coast of Cuba and into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Looking at the wind shear map, we're seeing here that our PTC 6, which stands for Potential Tropical Cyclone 6, is in a region that is not entirely favorable in terms of the wind shear. We do have a pocket of unfavorable shear as it is going to be making its way across the northern section of the Caribbean, but it is expected to strengthen as it heads closer to the Gulf of Mexico during the next couple of days. And even though it might not be a very strong tropical cyclone, do not underestimate it, guys, because it takes less than a tropical cyclone to do some significant damage. There can still be some flooding. The wind is not much of the concern, but it is the water. So once we're going to be having a lot of that heavy rainfall, then it is likely that we will be having that inland inundation as a result, especially in low-lying and flood-prone areas. In terms of the Saharan dust, the dust is not plentiful at this time across the Caribbean. We just have that small pocket there, not going to be too impactful on PTC 6. And as I said earlier, the Gulf is quite favorable. There is not much Saharan dust that is lingering there, and so when you see those lighter yellows, that means that there is less dust. But as we head towards the darker orange, going to the red and the pink shade, that means that the dust is very dense in those regions. So we don't have any of that being in the Caribbean as of right now. And so guys, again, please take necessary precautions and stay safe if you're in areas to be affected. And of course, I'm going to be keeping you updated on it as time goes by. And so if you found this video to be quite informative, please give a thumbs up, and you can also share your thoughts in the comments or ask a question. I'll try to respond as best and as soon as I can. And just remember to always be weatherwise.